Hello, I'm Victor, and this is The Junkyard. As you may already know, this year I've decided to extend Halloween into the months of November and December. So, in keeping with the holiday, today we'll be dipping our feet back into the werewolf subgenre with Howling 3, The Marsupials.
Let's start by taking a look at this title. Frankly, I'm torn. I saw this movie cover years ago at the local video store, and it always drew my eye. I mean, you get a lot of The Revenge, and The Return, and The Final Chapter, but The Marsupials? Can't help but give it a second look. Does the pouch mean the werewolves can carry guns and knives around even when their clothes have ripped off? At the same time, I never rented it because it looked too stupid and gross to waste money on.
Now, the video store closed down, but Walmart gave me another chance in the form of a triple-featured DVD containing Howling 3, 4, and 5. Sad thing is, Howling 3 might still be the best movie on that disc.
Alright, enough gawking at the title. On to the movie. We start with a black and white clip of some Australian aborigines standing awkwardly around a dead werewolf. Oh, where to start? Okay, first the slow fade to color effect is ruined by the fact that the bottom of the screen is already in color as the scene opens for some reason. Second, what the hell is with the cartoon hair? Even if that hairstyle existed, it's still the most offensive one they could have chosen next to maybe penis-shaped afros. Third, later in the movie, a professor examines this video and talks about how real the werewolf looks. I would ask for the prof's resignation, as you can clearly see lily-white legs with socks right under the suit.
And the movie has not even started.
Okay, again, I didn't bother remembering anybody's names. The film starts in Sydney with the professor expressing his desire to study werewolves, which gets him involved with other guy. Meanwhile, Girl, who lives with a tribe of redneck werewolves, runs away after refusing the advances of the Pax Alpha. She finds her way to Sydney, where she's chased down by Boy, who saw her sitting on a bench from about 50 meters away, and instantly decided that she'd be perfect for a movie he's casting for. As she's taken to see the set, some women from her village dress up as nuns to track her down. These people sit around fires dressed in rags. Where did they get nun outfits?
Speaking of questions, early on, the professor is put on the trail of the werewolves by hearing about some werewolf attacks in Russia. The whole film takes place in Australia with Australian werewolves, so I don't know where this whole Russian thing is coming in. Fortunately, I happen to have a friend who is well-versed in international politics and is himself an Australian. Hello, Quantumjoker.
Yes?
Explain to me how werewolf attacks in Russia could impact werewolves living in the outback.
Well, you see, Victor, in October 1917, the Bolsheviks rose to power and imprisoned the former Tsar, Nicholas II, in the Ipatiev house in Yekaterinburg. In the Ipatiev house, the Tsar and his family were freezing and given wouldn't be invented for another 69 years, but Border Patrol did accept MasterCard. So the Tsar and his family escaped and lived out their lives in peace in the outback of Australia. So, Victor, does that answer your question?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Actually, 15 minutes ago I remembered that, yeah, later in the film they introduce a Russian ballerina werewolf. It totally slipped my mind. Sorry about that.
Oh, and I was so close.
Anyway, as Professor and other guys stumble around for answers, Girl and Boy get intimate. In the almost impossibly sweaty afterglow, Boy notices that Girl has grown hair, as well as a strange sort of seam on her belly. He doesn't seem especially bothered about this. Besides learning of Boy's furry tendencies from this scene, we also discover that, according to Girl, it's not the moon that causes transformations. So what does? Well, we later see her and Boy at a party where she begins to transform under the flashing lights. This'll be how changes are induced throughout the rest of the film, by the way.
Even a man who is pure of heart and says his prayers at night will become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the strobe lights are flashing bright.
Whatever. Girl runs off but gets hit by a car and taken to the hospital. The doctors notice that she's pregnant and that her metabolism is off the chart. The were-nuns, having already caused a ruckus at the club she fled, manage to find Girl at the hospital, where they kill everyone and take her back home. Notice, by the way, that there's barely any blood at this scene of a werewolf massacre. Maybe Australian werewolves are just really good at Vulcan neck pinches. Anyway, cut to Russian ballerina, who is apparently being drawn to Alpha. Unfortunately, in the middle of her routine, she starts transforming and is herself taken in for study. She also breaks free, throwing someone off the hospital roof in the process. Neat trick, as she wasn't on the roof at the time. They use her to track down the Alpha, even as Girl once again escapes the village. They went through all that trouble to get her back, and then just let her wander off again. Okay.
I'm not going to show you this next part. If you want to see it, rent the movie. Okay, girl goes into a barn, gives birth to a puppy-human hybrid, and it proceeds to climb into her fully formed pouch. I was skeptical about how scary a film called The Marsupials could be, but damn if this isn't going to give me nightmares.
Well, Ballerina finds the village and Boy finds Girl. She shows him their lycanthropic freak baby, and he just couldn't be happier. Meanwhile, the government is closed in on the village and starts killing and abducting everyone. Despite the fact that they've been established as mean, rape-loving, murderous cultists, I think the movie makers want us to feel sorry for them. Too bad, filmmakers. Next scene, we see Ballerina being studied by Professor. He says he wants to help her people with a little bit more than professional closeness. When it's Alpha's turn in the chair, they try the strobes on him and he goes ape. Well, wolf. Anyway, when they manage to sedate him, they notice the markings on his back which resemble those of the now extinct Tasmanian wolf, one of the only marsupial predators in recorded history. Alpha explains to them that when the wolves were killed off, their spirits entered his people, making them what they are.
Now, to me, this idea had some potential. A sort of karmic balance to the universe that ensures that the people who wipe out a species are somehow burdened with the aggressive spirit of said species. It could explain modern werewolves as actually being a result of the extinction of the dire wolves, and, add an entirely new dimension to the werewolf lore. Or you could use it to gross people out with pouch babies.
Finding out that the government just plans to kill all the werewolves, Professor frees Alpha and Ballerina, even as Girl, Boy, and Freak Baby are being hunted down. Boy and Girl are helped out by Crazy Aborigine, who's apparently a character. He invokes the power of the Tasmanian wolf and wrecks the hunting party in hyper-werewolf mode. Professor, Ballerina, Alpha, Boy, Girl, and Freak Baby all meet up afterwards to cremate Crazy Aborigine, who started to die as the spirit left him. After this, we see some military guys moving in, tracking down the group. They come across Crazy's burnt corpse, which suddenly springs up and attacks one of them before being shot to hell.
Oh, Professor, did you check for a pulse? Oh, Alpha, Ballerina, pulse. Oh, shit.
Well, Alpha himself heads off to invoke the wolf spirit and takes care of the military. Unfortunately for him, the last guy decides that instead of a normal gun, he'd try to fire at the werewolf point blank with a bazooka. This all works out for Professor, who now gets the big sweaty jerk sloppy seconds. On one hand, this pretty well establishes his beta status. On the other hand, Russian ballerina sex. On yet another hand, Russian werewolf periods. Anyway, the five of them settle down in a secluded farm to live out simple, happy lives filled only occasionally with fur, teeth, and screams.
This would normally be where the film ends, but, hell, why leave well enough alone?
Boy and Girl decide to go back to the city, assume fake names, and resume their movie careers. Years later, other guy shows up to tell Professor that the government has reversed their stance on werewolf genocide and they can return to their old lives. When they get back, they find out the Girl and Boy survived and became successful. Girl will even be receiving an award on television. They tune in, and under all the flashing lights, well, you know.
You mean she went years as a celebrity without ever encountering flashing lights?
And as other guy laughs at the carnage, the film ends. This was a weird one. It's like someone tried to turn a creepy romance novel into a horror film. The tone was all over the place, ending a sort of romance with a sort of Terry Gilliam-esque twist. And despite the film's best efforts, you never feel any sympathy for the werewolves, endangered species or not. And the whole movie-making thing wasn't a good idea. Never try to put bad actors and bad movies into your script unless you're damn sure they're worse than the film they're in.
So that was Howling 3, The Marsupials. This one on so many levels made me queasy. Anyway, stay tuned for my upcoming reviews in this extended Halloween. Meanwhile, have a good day. This has been Victor with The Junkyard. Thanks for watching.
Having my baby, what a lovely way of saying how much you love me. Having my baby.
Oh, come on. He didn't even ask me for a cameo.